In the summer 2010 issue of Interweave Knits, we presented a brand new buttonhole by Techknitter, the Tulip's buttonhole. I'm going to show you how to do it in a video how-to. So come on in and take a look at the buttonhole samples that I've got here. We have several different stitches: garter stitch, seed stitch, and just a plain stockinette. And the great advantages of this buttonhole are that it's double reinforced on both sides and it's exactly symmetrical from top to bottom. So it's really strong and it'll last the whole life of your garment. So come on in and I'll show you how to do it. To do this buttonhole, you'll need your working needles, of course. You'll need a double-pointed needle that's 2 or 3 sizes smaller than your working needles, and a crochet hook of a similar size to your double-pointed needle. And all of this will make sense in just a minute. So we're working on an 8-stitch button band here. So I've got 8 stitches on my needle, and this is forming a horizontal, basically a 1-row buttonhole with a few extra tweaks put in to make it a little bit better. So I'm going to work my buttonhole over my center 4 stitches of this band with 2 stitches on either side. So let's get started. So first I'm going to work to within 1 stitch of my buttonhole, and in this case that's just 1 stitch worked. Since my buttonhole will be worked over these center 4 stitches, this is my 1 stitch that I'm within. And now I'm going to wrap the yarn clockwise around the buttonhole. And to do that, I'm going to bring the yarn to the front. I'm going to slip my stitch purlwise to the right needle, bring the yarn to the back, slip the stitch back to the left needle, and then bring the yarn back around to the front. And now I'm just going to drop my working yarn because I'm not going to use it for the next step. And you can see here that it's been wrapped really neatly around the base of this 2nd stitch. So I'm going to slip this stitch back to the right needle, and now I'm actually at my buttonhole stitches, these 4. I'm going to take my left needle, and you can see that wrap that's sitting right there. I'm just going to take my left needle and bring it right up into that wrap without twisting it at all. Now I'm going to slip that to my right needle, again without twisting. Now I'm going to slip 1 more stitch, and I'm slipping all my stitches purlwise. I'm going to slip 1 more stitch. Now I've got 4 stitches, including that wrap, sitting on my right needle. Now I'm going to take my left needle and grab that wrapped stitch and pass it over the 1st stitch on my needle. You can see that it's sitting just right at the base of that 1st buttonhole stitch. Now I'm going to continue doing a chain bind off and bind off all the stitches of my buttonhole. So I'll slip 1 more stitch to the right needle, use my left needle to pass the 2nd stitch over, do that again, do that again, and then do it 1 more time to bind off all of my buttonhole stitches. So now you can see that 4 stitches have been bound off in the center, and then I've got 2 stitches on either side, which are the sides of my buttonhole. Now I'm going to slip these 2 stitches to my smaller double-pointed needle. And I'm just going to pull my needle out and stick my double point back in quickly here. Now we're going to go back to the working yarn. So I'm going to pick it up, and I hold the yarn in my left hand, but of course you can hold it in your right if that's what you prefer. And I'm going to unwrap and rewrap my stitch. And that sounds confusing, but you'll see how straightforward it is. So I've got my working yarn. I'm going to slip that 1st wrapped stitch back to my left needle, take the yarn to the back, slip the stitch back to the right needle, and bring the yarn to the front. And I'm just going to tighten up a little bit, not over tighten, but just enough to make things look neat. Now my yarn's in the front, I'm going to slip my stitch back to the left needle, take it around to the back, take my yarn around to the back, and just 1 more time, I'm going to slip my stitch to the right needle, bring the yarn to the front, slip it to the left needle, bring the yarn to the back, and then slip that stitch back to the right needle, and now it's going to stay there. And you can see that a full counterclockwise wrap has been completed around the base of that stitch. Now I'm going to grab my crochet hook. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my left needle to just kind of open up some wiggle room in that last full wrap. And I'm going to insert my crochet hook into that stitch. And this is a little bit fiddly, but it does get a lot easier once you practice with it. Now I'm going to make a yarn over with my working yarn over my double-pointed needle, and then I'm going to use my crochet hook to grab the working yarn and make a chain. And that has actually casted a stitch onto my right-hand double-pointed needle. Now I'm going to make another yarn over, grab the working yarn and pull it through again. And I'm going to continue doing that, and basically what I'm doing is I'm casting back on the stitches that I just bound off. So again, yarn over around the double point, and then pull a chain through. And I've got my 2 side stitches and I've casted on 1, 2, 3, 4 new stitches that will form the top of my buttonhole. Now I'm just going to slip this loop that's on my crochet hook onto my right needle. And I'm done with my crochet hook now. Now I'm going to slip one more stitch, the first side stitch of my buttonhole, onto that right needle. And I'm just going to grab it with my left needle and pass it over. I'm going to tighten up my stitches and work my last stitch. And see, I've got 2 side stitches, 4 new buttonhole stitches, and 2 side stitches on the other end. And now I'm just going to switch back to my regular needles and work back in the opposite direction on the wrong side, just working those as normal stitches. And when we turn it back to the front, you can see that the buttonhole has actually been completed. And it's very neat, tight, perfectly symmetrical, and very strong. So give it a practice, and this might turn out to be your new favorite buttonhole.